Hi everyone, my name's Rebecca. I'm a second year mature medical student studying at the University of Bristol, and I've received a lot of emails asking about the access to higher education in medicine. You may be wondering if you can apply to medical school if you've perhaps got poor A-level grades or if you don't have any science A-levels at all, and the answer is yes. Just a few years ago I was in exactly the same position. I had GCSEs, but I didn't have any science A-levels. Actually, I had no A-levels whatsoever. So today I really wanted to share my experience studying the Access to Medicine course in Manchester. The universities now really want medical students who come from diverse backgrounds, not just the typical A-level student, and they actually welcome applications from students from non-traditional backgrounds. I'm going to be sharing some content today that I hope you will find useful. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. If you're returning, then welcome back. Please remember to subscribe, like the video. So with that being said, let's get straight in. What will I be covering in today's video? So I do have my notes. I think this is a really important video and I don't want to be forgetting any content. So if you see me looking down at my notes at any point, it's just because I want you to get all of the information that I've prepared for you. So we'll be covering what the Access course is. Now, I studied the Access course in Manchester in 2018. So I'll be referring to my experience. The syllabus may vary if you choose a different college, so please bear that in mind. But overall, I feel that most Access courses will be delivering the same content. So I'll be giving you a breakdown of what you study on the Access course. So not just the 4 subjects, physics, biology, chemistry, and maths, but I'm going to be going further into detail and really giving you a breakdown of what will be covered under each topic. I'm going to be talking to you about the cost of the Access course as well, and common questions that I've received recently, like can you work at the same time? How difficult is the course? How did you study? What resources do you recommend? What are the entry requirements to get onto the Access course? So if you feel that this content will be of benefit to yourself or anybody else, please feel free to share the video. Cover really is what the Access course is. An Access course essentially is a level 3 qualification. It's studied over the course of 1 year. You don't cover the entire A-level syllabus. It's not 2 years of A-levels in one. It's probably about 50 to 60% of normal A-level content. Later on in the video, I'll be giving you a breakdown of exactly what you'll be covering on the course. An Access course is not the same as a foundation year. An Access course is designed to help those who do not have A-levels or the right grades to get into medical school. When I was doing the Access course a few years ago, one thing that I learned was if you're in a position where you're at school and you don't get the grade, you can't then directly go onto the Access course straight away. There has to be a gap of 3 years between the A-levels and the Access course, because it's not designed for students who potentially get B's or C's in their A-levels and they think, right, I'll just do an Access course instead. It's designed for those who didn't get an opportunity when they were younger to either sit science A-levels, or maybe didn't come from great backgrounds or didn't go to good schools, or for financial reasons they didn't get a real shot at sitting A-levels and getting the right grades. So you have to be 21 years old to be able to enroll on the Access course. Bit of terminology that you'll probably hear quite a lot if you're doing the Access course is widening participation. If you're looking at the medical school guide and every single medical school's entry requirements, you'll probably see a section at the bottom which is widening participation. One of my main concerns before applying to medicine was, will medical schools even look at my application because of my background? As I've mentioned, many times before, my background is definitely not one of a typical medical student, and it shouldn't make us feel like we don't have a place in medicine. So medical schools have a set number of places designed to help those who would make good doctors, but again, haven't come from a typical background. So don't let that put you off, regardless of where you grew up or what kind of childhood you've had or what life has thrown at you. That's fine. Just know that you can still apply to medical school. So the Access course is basically split into 4 different subjects: maths, chemistry, biology, and physics. Jump into it and I'll give you a breakdown of each topic. So let's start with maths. So if you're studying algebra and you've had a good foundation at GCSE, it's basically a step up from that. When I did the course a few years ago, there was a real emphasis of making sure that the physics that we studied was based on what we would need at medical school, so medical physics essentially. Again, at Manchester, we were required to go to college 2 days a week. I know from having looked at different colleges a few years ago that a lot of access courses require you to go to college 5 days a week. One of the reasons I chose Manchester was the fact that it seemed very condensed. So we were required to go to college on a Monday and a Thursday. Now I lived 3 hours away. So for me, you know, I couldn't justify moving to Manchester because I had my work and everything where I was living. And I thought I can just do the commute. So 2 days was fine. And we had 3 hours of one subject in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. So for example, 3 hours of maths in the morning, 3 hours of physics in the afternoon, and then chemistry and biology on a Thursday. The whole course has to be passed at distinction level. Now, the way that it's broken down is each exam or assessment is worth 3 credits at level 3. You have 15 exams and assessments that are graded over the course of the year, and you are graded based on either a pass, a merit, or a distinction. 99% of medical schools who accept the access course require the 15 exams and assessments to be passed at distinction level. Bristol Medical School is where I attend medical school. As far as I'm aware, is the only medical school that will accept a merit in physics or maths, but not biology or chemistry. When I was researching this, and I have to make this clear because it has to be, you know, realistic. You have to know what you're going into. If you achieve a pass or a merit in chemistry or biology, no medical school will look at your application. You have to get distinctions. What do you need to get distinctions? 85% or above in the assessment or exam. I'm not saying this to put you off because it is possible. If I can do it without a solid background, with the help of the teachers and the other students and resources that I'm going to give you, you can absolutely achieve this. And remember that the assessments and the exams are not just made up of that particular exam, but you have a lab and then you'll have, you know, other things that will contribute to that grade. So it is absolutely possible to apply to Bristol Medical School because I actually got a merit in physics, and I'm not ashamed of this. You know, I absolutely gave it my very best shot, and physics was just a really difficult subject for me to get my head around, and it was on the very first exam that we had. I was struggling with physics, and I got a merit, and I was absolutely devastated because I thought, wow, this is just the end then. It wasn't the end. It definitely reduced my chances of getting into medical school, but I knew that Bristol would still look at my application, and that was the only medical school at the time that would even consider a merit. But just bear in mind that you can get a merit in maths or physics, but because of the competition, just aim for straight distinctions. We will also have exams and assessments that are either pass or fail. Yeah, so we had 3 exams in maths and 2 in physics that were pass-fail. So not the standard pass merit distinction, it was just pass or fail, and you have to pass those as well. So in total you have 20 exams or assessments over the course of 1 year. The 15 exams assessments that are graded pass merit distinction, you have to get distinctions, and then the pass fail, you obviously have to pass. I really want to be realistic and not make it out to be something that it's not, but it's really intense. It's very, very, very intense in terms of the limited amount of time that you have to learn the content. So you'll cover, for example, the cell in biology for, let's say, 3 to 4 weeks, and then you'll have 2 or 3 days to learn all the content, or you learn it as you go, and then you have an exam, bam, and then you move on to the next thing. So it's modular. It's not you study everything for a year and then you have a big exam at the end. It's basically study as you go, sit the exam, get the distinction, move on to the next step. And I think the combination of the pressure, the feeling that I know that if I don't get a distinction in this chemistry exam that I'm sitting right now, it's game over. And that's what I found really difficult, is just keeping myself, or convincing myself every single day that I could actually pull this off. So in terms of pressure and stress, I found it to be difficult. In terms of the content, I found it difficult. I did, and I think it's like anything, it depends on what GCSEs you have, the time that has lapsed between GCSEs and doing the access course, how good you are generally at things like maths, physics, chemistry and biology. For me, I'd never been in a lab before. It was the first time in chemistry, for example, that I was learning to even pipette, and it was a steep learning curve. I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I learned so much during that 12 months, and definitely having the GCSEs before going on to the access course in science and maths definitely helped. So it is difficult, but with that being said, it's doable. Around £4,500, but if you compare that to, let's say, sitting A-levels as a mature student, it's around 4,000 per A-level, and you need 3 to get into medical school. So in comparison to A-levels, it's a lot cheaper. And one thing that I learned, and I really want to share this with you and not keep it a secret, and I hope that I'm allowed to actually say this, but when you take out an advanced learner loan to pay for the course, a few months after the course started, I was told that if you finish the medical degree, so if you finish the 5-year degree, your advanced learner loan from the access course gets written off completely. And that's something that I only found out maybe 6 months into the course. So if you finish the medical degree, you will not have to pay. The short answer is yes. However, if you do not need to work and you're in a position where you could afford to take, a year off to just focus 100% on this access course, that is what I would recommend. I wasn't in a position back then to not work. I was living 3 hours away from the college. I needed to pay rent, I needed to pay for petrol, and that was costing me like £300 a month. It was just insane. Thinking about it now, how was that even possible? And I think I aged about 20 years during that year, but I managed to pull it off. I don't know how, but basically at the time I was working 2 jobs. I was also volunteering at the local hospital, and I was doing the access course. So on a Monday, I would go to Manchester and go to college basically, which was a 6-hour round trip. So I'd get up at about 4 in the morning. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I was working for a telecommunications firm in like a call center type thing. Thursday, I would go to Manchester again, so another 6-hour round trip. Friday morning, I would go to the local hospital from 10 until 12 and be a tea lady. So I would give out tea and coffee on one of the wards. And I wanted to do this because it served as a really good reminder of why I was on this access course, and just being in a hospital environment and seeing myself one day as that person who could do more than make a tea and coffee, if that makes sense. That kept me going. And I also wanted the work experience. So I did that on the Friday morning. And then on a Saturday morning, I was working both as a spin instructor and a personal trainer at the gym. So I would teach 2 spin classes back to back on a Saturday. And then immediately after, I would have 4 or 5 personal training clients back to back. I would finish, I'd go home, have a little nap, and then study. And then on a Sunday, I would work at the gym from 8 until 12, again, personal training clients back to back, bam, 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 bam. And then in the afternoon, I would just study. Monday, back to Manchester. And it was like that for a year. 7 days a week, no days off apart from holidays. But then during the holidays, I would do more personal training clients. And it was so intense that I think halfway through, I thought, this is just not sustainable. But I just had to do it for a year, that I needed to work, because if I didn't, then I wouldn't have the money to pay for the petrol to get to the college. And I just wasn't going to let that happen. So it paid off in the end. But yeah, you can work is the short answer. But if you can just work just 1 or 2 days a week, then do that, because the course is really intense. In terms of resources, if you've watched the video that I did about sitting GCSEs in your 30s, I recommend the same resources, and these are CGP revision books, but instead of GCSE revision books, get the A-level ones. So CGP A-level revision, it doesn't really matter which syllabus, so whether it's EdXL or AQA, but I think these are brilliant because they break down each subject or each topic into a simplified way of understanding them. And what you'll cover in a 3-hour class, for example, about something about differentiation, you can then review and do practice questions. So I just used CGP revision books. Khan Academy is a good one as well for chemistry. And again, I did refer back to Mr. Hegarty. I don't think I'll ever not watch Mr. Hegarty, because he makes maths, or the most complicated things in maths, seem a lot more simple than what they are. English and maths at grade B. A lot of medical schools, if you're a mature student, they don't really look at your GCSEs. Now, for Bristol, again, the entry requirements for those coming with an access course or even A-level was maths at grade A and English at grade B. If you've managed to pass an access course at distinction level in chemistry, biology, maths and physics, then your knowledge is above and beyond what you would sit at GCSE. Start dates, this may have changed, but it's normally twice a year, so either September or January. I started in January and finished in December. This question refers to studying the course online or at a college, and this was not an option a few years ago, and I know that the Distance Learning College, so DLC, offers the same qualification online. Personally, I would not have felt comfortable or confident to have achieved distinctions by studying this online. And what you need to think about is that you get one shot. You can't fail the access course and then resit it the following year. You can only apply once. In my opinion, you will get a better chance at achieving those grades if you are surrounded, first of all, with teachers that can give you additional support in person. And also it's important to surround yourself with people who have the same vision and the same goals, because when things get really, really tough, if you're at home on your own with just an assessment and a laptop, you're gonna get demotivated. If you're surrounded by people who are also in the same boat, you can all support each other. So my recommendation would be to actually go physically to a college and study the Access course. But if you feel that you have, the motivation and the ability to do it online, and if that's easier and more affordable, then definitely go for that. When I was doing the Access course, we only had a very short amount of time to understand the content, learn it, and then we were assessed. So it's very different to medical school because, in your first 2 years at university, you have about a year to learn the content. So the way that you're going to learn on the Access is going to be different to when you come to medical school. When I studied on the Access course, I did write quite a lot of bullet points and notes, and it was just a case of cramming for exams, and that is not a study technique that I would recommend at medical school. You need this information at university for a long time. It has to go in your long-term memory. Access course, it's just cram, and that is the honest truth. It would be nice to use techniques such as active recall, spaced repetition, but you don't have the time to do spaced repetition because you learn, you're assessed, you learn, you're assessed. So for the Access course, I would say write notes that summarize what you're learning in the classroom. You want to start building a database on Anki or Quizlet. Remember that the topics that you cover on the Access will be revisited during your first and second year, mostly at medical school. So in first year medical school, we revisited a lot of the content that we studied, especially in biology, chemistry, and a little bit of maths, but mainly biology and chemistry. So Anki is an app that you can download for free online. I'm sure you've heard of it by now, but it's a spaced repetition app where you can design and write your own flashcards and test yourself on the knowledge that you're learning. I would recommend starting to write questions for yourself on the Access course if you have time, because that knowledge will then benefit you on the medical degree. But in terms of study tips, honestly, the time that you have to learn the content is so limited that I don't feel that recommending active recall and spaced repetition to pass exams on the Access would be that beneficial, if I'm totally honest. So it is just a case of cramming and learning it as you go. And then it felt like, right, you dump all this information on the exam, bam, move on to the next thing. But that's not the way to go about it. At times, you convince yourself that you can't do it, just keep moving forwards. Don't look at what you need to do next year or right now. We're doing the cell. All right, let me just focus on the cell. I'm not even going to think about what we're doing in any of the subjects. I'm just going to focus on what do I need to do to get this distinction. One hurdle at a time, one step at a time. Because if you even look at the whole Access course and what you need to overcome, it can be really overwhelming. So if I can come from a background of leaving school at 15 with no academic qualifications and self-studying my GCSEs at the age of 35 and achieving distinctions on the Access course, okay, one merit, but mainly distinctions and getting into medical school, then you can too. The most important thing to say, and I always say this, I know, but I think it's really important, is don't let other people convince you that you can't do it. Even if on the Access course you get asked, like I did, what my plan B is, just say that you don't have one. Medicine is my plan, there is no plan B. And people in your family or friends that love you very much, they may try to convince you that it's better to take a safer option and to stick to what you're doing now. But if being a doctor is something that you want, then go for it and don't let anybody convince you otherwise. Once you get into medical school, I promise you, it is difficult, it is hard, but hand on heart, I can say that it's easier it's easier than the Access course because it's spread over 5 years, whereas this is 1 year, very intense, very stressful, a lot of pressure. Overcome this hurdle, get the Access course, and your life will become so much easier. And I'm not saying medical school is easy, definitely not. It's difficult, but you will receive help in terms of, you know, academic support and financial support, and you'll be surrounded with people who have the same vision as well. So thank you very much for watching today's video. If you have any further questions, then please just email me or send me a comment. You know, one of the things that I said at the time was, when I was researching the Access course, it was so challenging to get information on YouTube or just from colleges, and I always said that if I succeed on the Access, then I would want to do videos to try and help those who want to follow the same path. So if there is anything that I can talk about on these videos that you would find useful, then please just let me know. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Good luck on your journey, never give up, and I'll see you soon.